Welcome back. In our last explainer, we found out that AI is basically a master of prediction. But how does it go from just predicting the next word to actually understanding words? Today, we're diving into the really elegant idea of how machines find meaning in a world that's just pure numbers.
Okay, so last time we laid down a really crucial piece of the puzzle. At their very core, these incredible AI models aren't really thinking. Nope, they're playing an unbelievably complex game of probability, just predicting the most likely next word in any given sentence.
But that leaves this huge, glaring question, right? If it's all just statistics, how on earth does a model know that cat and kitten are super related, or that joy is pretty much the opposite of sorrow? How does it get the actual meaning? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unravel right now.
So the very first hurdle for any computer is taking our messy, beautiful human language and turning it into cold, hard numbers it can work with. And for decades, the way we did this was, well, frankly, it was pretty bad. This old method was called one-hot encoding. Just imagine a massive spreadsheet with, say, 50,000 columns, one for every single word the computer knows. To represent the word apple, you'd find its column, put a 1 there, and then put a 0 in all the other 49,999 columns. It works, technically, but it's ridiculously inefficient.
And here's the massive, critical failure of that old system. Because every word lives in its own little isolated universe, the word cat is just as far away from kitten as it is from joy or galaxy. The system has absolutely no concept of how words relate to each other. None.
But then came the breakthrough, a complete game changer. Instead of giving each word its own lonely, isolated dimension, what if we could map them all together in a shared space? This is the core idea behind what we call word embeddings, and it changed everything.
So let's just put these two side by side. On the left, you've got one-hot encoding. It's sparse, mostly zeros, and it tells us nothing about relationships. But on the right, you have word embeddings. They're dense. Instead of a list of 50,000 numbers, a word is now represented by a much shorter list, maybe a few hundred numbers. And these aren't just zeros and ones, they are coordinates. And as you're about to see, those coordinates are the whole secret.
To really get a feel for this, let's start simple. Imagine a single line, just one dimension, that represents sandwichness. A hot dog is way over on one end, and a salad is on the other. Okay, now let's add a second dimension, sweetness. Suddenly, our line becomes a 2D plane. Pizza stays in the savory zone, but an apple pie zips over into a new sweet corner. Now let's add a third dimension, liquidness, and we get a 3D cube where soup can finally find its home. Large language models do this with hundreds, even thousands of dimensions that we can't even picture, where each one represents some abstract quality the model learned by reading basically the entire internet.
And this gets us to the absolute core idea. For a machine, meaning isn't some definition you'd find in a dictionary. Meaning is simply a word's position on this incredible, complex map, defined only by its location relative to every other word.
Okay, so we have this amazing map, but how do we use it to figure out if two words are similar? Now, you might think it's just about measuring the distance between 2 points, right? But the truly elegant solution isn't about how far apart words are, it's about which direction they're pointing.
This is called cosine similarity. Think of it like this. Imagine every single word is an arrow, or a vector, shooting out from the dead center of this space. To see how similar two words are, we don't measure the distance between the tips of the arrows. We just measure the angle between them. Are they pointing in roughly the same direction?
And here's where it gets really, really cool. This geometry translates to meaning almost perfectly. You see, words pointing in almost the exact same direction, like joy and happiness, have an angle close to 0. They're basically synonyms. Words that are totally unrelated, like king and tree, they're at a 90-degree angle to each other. And words that are opposites, well, they're pointing in completely opposite directions, a 180-degree angle.
You know, this map is so consistent, so well structured, that you can actually navigate it using simple arithmetic. So let's take a quick tour using probably the most famous example in all of AI.
I'm sure you've seen this one before. It looks like a little logic puzzle, but to the machine, it's not a puzzle at all. It's just a set of directions for a journey through this meaning space.
So let's follow the trip. First, we start at the coordinate for the word king. Then we subtract man, which basically means we walk backwards along the man vector, kind of removing the concept of maleness.
From that new spot, we add woman. We just walk along the direction of that vector. And where do we end up? Right in the neighborhood of the word queen.
Now this is so important to get. The model isn't reasoning. It has no idea what a king or a queen is. It has simply learned from billions of examples that the relationship, the arrow that connects man to woman, is almost identical to the arrow that connects king to queen. It's just matching patterns in a geometric landscape.
Okay, so this all might seem a little abstract, but this geometric map of language is actually the engine behind some of the most powerful AI technologies we use every single day.
This whole idea has totally transformed search. For decades, search was all about keywords. You'd search for how to repair a dripping tap, and you'd miss a perfect article called fixing a leaky faucet. Vector search is different. It takes your question, turns it into a coordinate on the map, and then looks for documents that are in the same neighborhood. It finds what you mean, not just the words you typed.
This is also the secret sauce behind how AI models can have a memory of documents you give them. When an AI reads a PDF, it's really just chopping it up into little pieces and storing each piece as a coordinate in a database. Then, when you ask a question, the AI finds the most relevant pieces by matching the meaning of your question to the meaning of those chunks. It's searching by intent.
So let's just quickly recap the big ideas from today. First, words aren't words anymore, they're coordinates or vectors. Second, meaning isn't a definition, it's geometry. It's just a position on a map. Third, similarity isn't about distance, it's about direction, the angle between words. And finally, from this surprisingly simple system, really powerful things like search by meaning and AI memory just emerge.
You know, when you really stop and think about it, by teaching a machine to turn our language into a navigatable map, we haven't just taught it to parrot us. In a very real way, we've given it a map of the structure of human thought itself.
So, we have the map. We understand how meaning gets encoded as a location in space. But a map doesn't tell you which path to take. How does the model navigate this incredible landscape to choose the perfect next word and build a sentence that actually makes sense? Well, that's the question we'll explore in our next explainer.